Good afternoon and welcome to Duke News. My name is Jack Morgan and let's get into this week's news. This past Friday, SGA held a presidential debate to decide who is going to take over the Culture Party and the Mission Forward Party on Duquesne Student Radio. The debate was moderated with the help of the Duquesne DUQ by Eliyahu Gasson and Caitlin Hughes, as both parties stated their cases for what was the best direction for the school's government going forward into next year. Let's look at some footage of the coverage, courtesy of me and VODL.
In September of 1960, the American political landscape was forever changed when Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy stepped in front of television cameras for the first ever televised presidential debate. Fast forward to today, and a similar milestone has just taken place right here on the Bluff. For the very first time in Duquesne University's history, the Student Government Association presidential candidates met face-to-face in a live broadcast for the entire student body to see. Sponsored by the Duquesne student newspaper and Duquesne Student Radio, the historic event brought the democratic process directly to the students, and the campus was clearly watching. Nearly 500 people tuned into the video leading up to the election. Taking the podiums were Culture Party candidate Wango Kasuba and Mission Forward Party candidate Mary Paternoster. Both candidates were quick to outline their distinct visions for the university's future. Paternoster, a junior studying secondary education and English, drew heavily on her 2 years of experience on the SGA executive board. She emphasized her party's dedication to the university's spirit and mission, focusing on building authentic relationships and walking with students on the margins. Kasuba, a sophomore history major and social studies education major, leaned into his party's commitment to broad campus representation. He highlighted his team's diverse backgrounds, ranging from first-generation college students to Greek life members and athletes, as the key for properly advocating for the student body. A major highlight of the debate was the discussion around student engagement. Noting that only 1,000 students participated in a past SGA election, both candidates shared proactive strategies to boost involvement. Paternoster suggested increased SGA visibility at Greek philanthropy events and other student organization gatherings to show active support. Kasuba pointed to his party's grassroots efforts, such as hosting informational sessions and pushing out student surveys on campus dining to hear concerns directly. The candidates also tackled upcoming institutional shifts, specifically how they plan to advocate for students as incoming university president David Dowsey takes office. Both candidates shared positive takeaways from attending Dowsey's Listening to Hope tour, noting his openness to student surveys and direct communication. When the debate shifted to policy, the candidates addressed how they would handle potentially divisive student organizations seeking SGA approval. Kasuba pointed to his proudest SGA accomplishment, passing a reapplication bill that ensures groups follow a strict process and align with the university's values. Paternoster agreed with the need for an inclusivity, adding that she would focus on thoroughly training SGA senators to use their voting power responsibly. But the debate wasn't all heavy policy. During a lighthearted lightning round, both candidates agreed that Cinco is a top-tier lunch spot on campus, though Kasuba gave an honorable mention to Milano's, and Paternoster defended the Hogan Dining Hall. And if given an infinite budget to bring anyone to campus, Paternoster dreamed of a homecoming halftime performance by Beyonce, while Kasuba opted for a popular internet comedian jersey. As the historic broadcast concluded, the choice was left in the hands of the student body. For Voice of Duquesne Live, I'm Jack Morgan.
After the debates ended, the voting happened on Wednesday, March 18th, with both sides eager and waiting to see who would take over for SGA. When the results came in yesterday, the news was stunning as the Culture Party swept at the ballots, winning every position. Congratulations to them, and we here at DSTV wish them the best of luck in their job going forward into the next school year. Looking for the perfect way to spend your Saturday afternoon? Join the Duquesne Program Council for a Top Golf special event on March 21st from 3 to 5 p.m. Whether you're a golf pro or just in it for the laughs, come hang out, hit some balls, and enjoy a fun afternoon with friends. Enjoy 2 hours of golf, delicious food, and transportation. They are all included. Tickets are available to be purchased in CSI in the Union for $10, and the bus will depart from the Student Union around 2:15 p.m. There are limited spots available, so grab your tickets soon. Get ready to take your best swing. Clever. Now we head to Nick for this weekend's weather.
Thanks, guys. I would say this is going to be a great weekend, but, well, to my left is rain, to my right is rain, and, well, down the middle, no, I've got a nice cloudy day, but it's not going to be the best. It is going to be warm, though. As you saw on Saturday, 60 degrees, 61 as a high on Friday, 75 as a high on Sunday. So it is going to feel nice. It's just the caveat is you might not see the sun at all this week or this weekend. So, hey, I mean, this is probably a great time as ever. I know me and Jack are probably going to be just sitting inside watching March Madness. It's higher weekend because he gave me the thumbs up when we earlier. But as we head from the weekend and the start of next week, you're going to see, unfortunately, a lot of the same as we head to the start of next week. Unfortunately, it's going to be a lot of the same. Tuesday and Wednesday, it is going to cool off a little bit with lows in around freezing, and on Monday, high of 55. And, as you can see, more rain. Everybody's favorite thing. So, bust out the rain jackets. Bust out your umbrellas because you're definitely going to need them this week. Maybe don't wear shorts to start off the week. The weekend, though, that's fair game. But I'll keep it simple from here. It's going to be kind of just a wet, miserable week here to end as we get towards the end of March. So it is what it is. But from Duke News, I'm Nick Fernbaugh.
On Sunday at 6 p.m., there will be Mass in the Chapel of the Holy Spirit, followed by a shared meal across the street in the School of Pharmacy Rotunda. Take some time to be able to share some faith and fellowship with peers ahead of the start of a new week. For more questions or information, contact Debbie Kostowski. Now for this week's News at the Night Spot. The Society of Women Engineers is hosting an egg painting event as a break from school and to get ready for Easter break. Some people might not be heading home for that short break and want to do something to boost morale, so head down to the Night Spot to paint some eggs, make some pipe cleaner flower bouquets, and own a decoration to keep in your room. The event will take place on Wednesday, March 25th from 9 to 10 p.m. On Saturday and Sunday, March 21st to 22nd, students are invited to participate in an intensive hands-on workshop hosted primarily in the electronics lab on the second floor of Fisher Hall, with additional sessions in the sound lab at the Mary Papert School of Music. The workshop runs from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday and from noon to 4 p.m. on Sunday, and it will conclude with a live performance and demonstration by a special guest artist. Registration is $50 and is only limited to 14 students to ensure an immersive learning experience. The registration fee includes Saturday lunch and a provided bag of components. Now on to sports. In the second round of the A-10 championship, Duquesne took on Rhode Island at PPG Paints Arena. Our Brendan Flater was there to recap the action.
From PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, it was the Duquesne Dukes and the Rhode Island Rams, ready to do battle in the second round of the A-10 championships. In this one, Duquesne received contributions from a variety of players, but none were bigger than those of Alex Williams and Jimmy Williams. For Rhode Island, the star was undeniably Tyler Cochran. He hit 9 threes and scored 34 points to go along with 10 rebounds. The 9 3-pointers also tied St. Bonaventure's Matt Mobley for the most three-pointers ever made in an A10 tournament game. While Cochran played great for the Rams, it wasn't enough to best the Dukes and their pair of Williams. Jimmy Williams was back in his scoring ways in this one. He scored 17 on 7 for 12 from the field and 2 for 3 beyond the arc. This was Jimmy's 28th double-digit scoring performance of the season. His partner in crime tonight, Alex Williams, who led the team with 28 points off the bench. This was his 14th straight double-digit game and his third 20-point game of the season. When Alex scores 20 in a game, the Dukes are a perfect 3-0. The crowd was electric today and helped fuel the home team to victory. In this one, senior David Dixon appeared in his 128th game for Duquesne. This is the most games ever appeared in by a single player in program history. Following the game, Coach Drew Joyce commented on his team's depth and how important that is for a team's success in this tournament.
It's very important, and our guys understand that their name is going to be called, and they have to impact the game.
Final from PPG Paints Arena, the Dukes take down the Rhody Rams by a final score of 67-61. It was an all-around great performance from the Dukes. Very strong defensively, not as strong as they maybe would like offensively, but still got the job done. They never trailed in this one, which was a big key to success. Another key to success, as I mentioned, was the contributions that they got from off the bench and in the starting lineup. When you play in a tournament like the A10 Championships, which requires you to win multiple games in back-to-back stretches, it's really important that you're not relying on one guy, because if one guy is cold, you need another guy to step up and help you win these big games. For Duke News, I'm Brendan Fleda.
Following that, Duquesne was eliminated from the A10 tournament by VCU on Friday as they dropped a 67-61 decision to the Rams at PPG Paints Arena. And hey, the crowd was electric from the beginning, helping Duquesne jump out to a first half lead, but the Rams came roaring back. They took a double-digit halftime lead. The Dukes fought hard in the second half, making it a one-possession game multiple times, but in the end, they simply couldn't hit their shots needed to advance. After the tournament was all said and done, Brendan Flado got a chance to speak with freshman Donovan Cranage on the experience this tournament was for everyone who got to work it.
All right, and we're here at PPG Paints Arena. My name is Brendan Flado. This is Donovan Cranage. We were covering the A10 tournament this past week along with some others from DSTV and DSR, but we're here to break it down for you live on Voice of Duquesne Live. Donovan, first off, what are your instant reactions after VCU was crowned champions?
Well, I thought VCU was very dominant all weekend. I mean, their closest game was with Duquesne, where they still had a multiple possession lead on them. And then they went into the semifinals and dominated against St. Joe's and did the same thing against Dayton.
All right, so let's start with Wednesday's first round of actions. Real quick, since it was the first day, what do you think of that first day? What surprised you?
Well, St. Bonaventure, they had a lot of playmakers on that team. Frank Mitchell, Daryl Simmons, they both came to play. DeSante Bowen. And they ended up winning, probably a game more than they should have against George Mason, but looked very impressive that first day against LaSalle.
Yeah, and I think my surprise was probably the way that Loyola Chicago played in that one. They were one of the worst squads throughout the regular season. They were the worst squad throughout the regular season, but they came out, put up a good showing, put up a good fight. Made it through, but not much further after that.
They did.
Now we'll move on to day two. The highlight of day two, for us at least, was the Duquesne versus Rhode Island game, which Duquesne picked up the big win. I'm sure you've heard about it, seen about it by now. What did you think of that game versus URI?
Well, it was less competitive than I thought it was going to be. Duquesne had a solid lead for, I'd say, most of the game, specifically in the first half, and they played a brand of basketball that made them able to compete with VCU. But it started with that game against Rhode Island, where we saw two incredible performances from Alex Williams and Jamie Williams.
Yeah, and aside from the two Williams, there was a lot of guys who contributed to that game. Brandon Hall on the defensive end. He kind of had a little bit of a spark at the beginning of the game, too, for Duquesne. They started fast, and, probably not their best game they played all season, but they played damn well enough to win. Maybe they would have liked to shoot it a little bit better, especially from the foul line, but a win's a win, and you move on to the next. And so do we. Next day was Friday. The highlight was Duquesne VCU, but there was also some other big games. What did you think of the games that weren't the Duquesne game? We'll start there.
Well, we already talked about St. Bonaventure, but that win against George Mason was so impressive. They kept up with them on defense very well, and at the end of the game, took over and was able to get the win. I was very impressed also from St. Joe's, the way Davidson. They went in and got the win against Loyola Chicago, who was coming off a very good performance against Richmond that we just talked about as well.
Yeah, and then there's Friday slates of games. It's the first time we saw the 1 seeds. St. Louis had a little bit of a scare in that one.
Yeah, they did. They kept it close, but, you have clutch players, and we're going to see them in the tournament this week against Georgia coming up tomorrow on Thursday. I think they got players that are gonna make big time plays. Robbie Oliva, we saw it against Dayton as well in the semis.
He did his part.
Yeah, he did his part, and they got the win, although they kept it close.
Well, maybe he didn't do his part on the boxing out end. That led Latong making that tap in play, kind of David Dixon-esque.
Yeah.
For the win. But now Duquesne versus VCU. What are your thoughts after that one? It's a tough one. Maybe Duquesne versus the refs.
It was a tough one, and the officiating was definitely questionable. We talked about it all game. But at the end of the day, I feel like Duquesne really did have their chances, especially Ginyard there. He had a breakaway and ended up turning the ball over, which was a very unfortunate end to a game they kept close with a very solid VCU team that ended up winning the A-10, and now they have a game against UNC coming up in March Madness.
Yeah, and Duquesne was I was sitting with the camera right down on the Duquesne bench. They were not pleased with the officiating throughout the game, but that doesn't mean that they lost because of the officiating. They had their chances. Obviously, Ginyard slipped and lost the ball trying to push it up the floor to get the timeout. Drew Joyce said in the press conference that he was jumping up frantically to call the timeout. The officials didn't give it to him. He had the at least A10 famous eye test quote during that press conference where he said that he doesn't know if the refs need eye tests or what they need to be able to see, but they missed that one. But if they had gotten that timeout, man, things could have been different for the Dukes. And for the A10 in the tournament as a whole, that could have shifted. That could have been a one-bid league after that.
Absolutely, yeah.
The St. Louis drops one to Dayton on the semifinal day. We'll talk about that in a second. But Duquesne really could have spoiled it. And there was definitely some people saying that, the A10 needed VCU to win. Maybe that played a part in the officiating. I don't think so. I think that those officials, the A10 getting 2 bids doesn't affect those officials at all. They're worried about getting their NCAA tournament bid, and obviously those officials aren't going to get one after that performance, but they have no effect on who gets in from the A10 because they want to get in themselves, and that means that they got to call a good game.
And a huge shout out to David Dixon, who played his final game as a Duquesne Duke in that game, and I think he played tremendously on the defensive side. Obviously, he fouled out towards the end, but he was a huge...
Some questionable calls.
Yeah, and he played a huge role, especially defensively for Duquesne in his final game.
Yeah, and it was nice to see him get that standing ovation from the crowd, be honored by his teammates who all shook his hand as he left the court for the final time as a Duke. Also, shout out to the other seniors, Alex William, a grad student. He played great all-tournament, named to the all-tournament team, I believe.
Maybe. I voted for him.
Yeah, he was definitely voted for by a lot of people. He was in the running. But a great career for Alex Williams. It ended with that game. But hopefully we see David Dixon playing pro very soon.
That would be cool.
All right, we'll move on now to semifinal games. Obviously, the big one was Dayton versus St. Louis, but we're going to start with the second game, VCU St. Joe's. We'll say the best for last here.
Yeah, well, it was just... It was all VCU all game. From the jump, they got out to a huge lead, and St. Joe's could just never catch up.
Yeah, St. Joe's is my pick to win it all. I really thought that they had the best chance. Obviously, they couldn't get it done when it mattered in the semifinals. They will get a high seed in the NIT, so their season will continue, but obviously not in the tournament that they wanted to be in.
Right.
Moving on now, the game of the tournament, Dayton, St. Louis. We got a big shot for Dayton, puts him up. Robbie Avila the other way, three-pointer, top of the key. And a missed shot, tap in by Latong. What are your thoughts? You were there. I missed that game. I had baseball.
I was there.
But you were there.
I feel like that sequence might have been the craziest sequence in any sports game I've ever attended. So that was awesome to see in person. But it really wasn't like that the whole game. The first half, it wasn't that close. And then, towards the end, some missed shots lead to a closer game, and you ended up having that insane sequence. But what a job by not just the team Dayton, but the fans of Dayton showed up, and they showed up all tournament. But I think it really played a huge role in that upset against St. Louis.
Right where we're sitting right now is a sea of red before, like 2 hours before all of
Yeah.
their games. They came ready. They came prepared. Also, the VCU fans showed up.
Oh, they did, absolutely.
And we had a good chanting war going in the finals between VCU and Dayton. I would say I tweeted probably 60-40 Dayton in the crowd,
Yeah.
would you say?
I would say so.
But both fan bases showed up. Dayton a lot closer than VCU, but it was a great atmosphere. Almost Lower Bowl sold out for that game.
Yeah. Well, it was sort of similar to the St. Joe's game where it was kind of just never really a question. But they kept it a lot closer than St. Joe's. Obviously, VCU came out with the win. And not just a shout out to their fans, but their pep band.
Oh.
We've talked about it. Was incredible. I think that also played a huge role, feeling like a home game in some sorts for VCU.
Yeah, their pep band was loud. I mean, they were really good, but I don't know how I feel about the pep bands bringing in speakers to make them louder.
Yeah.
Like, it was like you should be able to bring that noise on your own. You shouldn't need
Right.
10 ginormous amplifiers to get that noise out there. But they were very electric. They were into it the whole time. They were chirping pretty good
They
during
were.
warm-ups. They were even chirping the camera people. I was catching strays trying to record Duquesne warming up against VCU, but they were into the game. You got to respect it. But what do you think going into the tournament? VCU, what's your outlook on that?
Well, VCU plays a very fast-paced sort of basketball, and I think that'll be a key factor in the fact that UNC is banged up right now. You're not going to have all your star players if you're North Carolina. I think VCU is on upset watch. I personally have them beating UNC. I probably wouldn't have that if I didn't get to see them this whole tournament, but they impressed me a lot, both against St. Joe's and then Dayton, and I think they have the players, the atmosphere to go in and beat a banged-up UNC team.
Yeah, and for VCU, going into the season, I thought that they were going to have a very good chance to make a run here in the A-10 and the NCAA tournament because when you think about it, with NIL now, VCU is not a small school. They have big donors. They make a lot of money. They don't have football.
Correct.
They don't have to put any money towards football. All of their NIL goes to those 5 guys on the basketball team. So you know that they're going to be able to put together a good team. UNC, though, they're putting money
Yeah.
towards their guys too. But as you mentioned, they're a little banged up. I think that's a perfect situation for an 11 seed. If you're looking at your bracket and you're picking an 11 seed, VCU is who you should pick. Not just saying that because we covered the A-10 tournament.
Yeah.
They're a good squad.
Well, and you mentioned the 5 players, but it's really they have an 8-player rotation that is lethal. It was easily the best rotation throughout the A-10 tournament. Terrence Hill Jr. is coming off the bench. He won the Most Outstanding Player Award here at the A-10 tournament, and he's one of the best players in the whole conference.
Yeah, you got to guard Terrence Hill. And then look at the other A-10 tournament briefly. We'll cover them. The other team going into the tournament, St. Louis, 8 versus 9. 8 versus 9 games are always those close ones.
Yeah.
I don't think St. Louis can pull it out first round.
Really?
I don't think so.
I'm
I've
not a
seen them
huge-
all year. I think they're frauds.
I mean, we saw them compete with Dayton, who ended up making the finals and didn't
You
really
need
keep it
Avila to
close,
score
but
40.
You need
Avila
your
to
star
score
players
40.
to come out. Coach Josh Schertz said it in their press conference after their first game. There's no I in team, but there's I in win. So you need your star players to come out and do what they do best.
Now, I think an advantage to do. I think Schertz is a very good coach. I think that they have the role players. Obviously, got to lean on the man with the goggles, Robbie Avila.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be tough. I think Georgia's probably going to pull that one out.
Well, and I'm not
Although-
a huge Georgia basketball fan. I think they've been kind of up and down all
Yeah.
year, and this is I think that's a good first-round matchup for St. Louis. I think it'll be close, but I think St. Louis can pull it out.
I think we're on this. I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to go down to the stretch, maybe similar to the Dayton St. Louis game, but I think in the end, the St. Louis defense, they tire themselves out near the end of the game.
Yeah, they do.
So we saw it a lot. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it was a great time for us covering the tournament. I think you'd agree it was an awesome experience.
great.
But for the Voice of Duquesne Live, we're now going to send it back to the studio. I'm Brendan Flato. He's Donovan Cranage.
With all that out of the way, it's now lacrosse season on the Bluff. Duquesne women's lacrosse is off to a rocky start in A-10 play as they lost to St. Bonaventure 14-9 on the road on Wednesday. My apologies. Their lone win of the season was at Mercyhurst. However, Grayson Emerson is making program history for the Dukes as her 44 assists on a season ties Megan Frederick's program record set back in 2009. I'm not done talking about basketball. Let's wrap up the sports segment here with a big shout out to VCU and SLU for coming away with big time wins in the first round of March Madness last night for the Atlantic 10 Conference, the mighty A10 Conference. VCU completed a 19-point comeback, the largest in a first round tournament game ever, to beat the North Carolina Tar Heels. Shortly after that, SLU flexed the muscles of the, as aforementioned, mighty A10 by slaughtering Georgia 102-77. And yes, the word slaughtering is probably the best way to put it because it was never close. The Billikens, in fact, they went on a 23-0 run at one point in the second half. So shout out to them, and they'll play again on Saturday. The Duquesne University Spanish department wanted to give their students a treat because on Tuesday, February 10th, they hosted an afternoon of salsa. Students enjoyed empanadas and got to learn how to salsa dance by a professional instructor, Marlon Silva. Nick was able to head to the event and talk to the students about the impact an event like this has on individuals.
In the Union Ballroom, dozens of students sat down, ate empanadas, and got to learn salsa dancing from a guy putting smiles on people's faces for 20 years.
I enjoyed the instructor. I think he understood that you start the first half by just doing it. Like I think that's most things. Like for salsa, you learn by doing. Like you can't just sit in silence and watch people. You learn by trying it yourself, kind of this repetitive doing and failing. And that's what I loved most about the teacher. He just let us fail, and then from there, we learned how to salsa through this trial and error.
Students gathered around with other peers and learned the techniques of how to perform salsa. Senior Cody Da talked with me about the enjoyment of an event like this with his friends and other peers.
I mean, it's good. I mean, I have the class with one of my teammates and one of my friends, so I think it's a little more fun for me, but even if it's just an event that you're doing by yourself with like your class, I feel like it's something fun that you could do to kind of just take the stress off of school.
For 2 hours, students learned a variety of dances as they all got lost in the music and enjoyed the quality time that they spent together.
It was so entertaining, and it's just so fun being able to dance with my peers and being able to share this part of my culture that I also enjoy. I feel like dancing is especially salsa, it's such an intimate part of language and culture. I say it's a way of speaking without words, and it really shows a lot about someone.
At a time like this where people might be divided on the idea of culture and its importance in America, events like this help students realize that there is more in common with each other than even we might realize.
I think it just gives good insight on different people's lives and what they do and what, some of their experiences and how they express themselves through, whether that be dance, music, or anything else.
It seems like people are trying to find the differences amongst one another, find out what makes us different, why is it me versus you, rather than understanding what makes us similar. I like dance, you like dance, we can share this common joy. And it's just so important, even if you don't necessarily like dancing, just sharing something with someone, sharing a meal, sharing language. We shared a meal, we shared empanadas, we shared dance moves, we shared language. It's something so important, this multiculturalism, to bring us back to the idea that we're not really so different, and we all have our own attributes that we want to share and that we want to mingle with.
When looking for something to do, it might be worth it to embrace the uncomfortable and try something new like salsa dancing. Who knows? You might truly enjoy it.
There's a quote that says, the cost of community is embarrassment. The cost of community is going out of your way and doing things. Humanity, community, and this, building bridges does not come easy.
From Duke News, I'm Nick Fernbaugh.
Pittsburgh Opera's 2026 annual fashion show will take place on Monday, March 23rd at the Bitz Opera Factory in the Strip District with discounted $15 student tickets. This year's theme, It's About Time, offers a fresh and creative take on period dress featuring vintage couture, from 1890 to the present day. The evening blends high fashion and live opera in a dazzling runway presentation curated by Richard Parsakian of EONS Fashion Antique in Shadyside, celebrating over a century of style and the timeless power of the human voice. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. The show begins at 7:30 p.m. Dessert and dancing on the runway will be at 8:15 p.m. and the event concludes at 10. All tickets will cover food and entertainment. Guests are invited to find street parking or utilize local surface lots or the Cork Factory garage. Handicap parking is available in the garage, but it is first come, first serve. If you are interested in attending this event, you can still purchase tickets at pittsburghopera.org/fashion26. All right, sometimes being a teacher is a hard and thankless job, from the long nights grading to putting together rigorous curriculums, or constantly having to adapt every year to the changing times. Teachers might feel unappreciated, but here at Duke News, we do see all of you and wanted to show off some students here at the Liberal Arts College who have had teachers make a big impact on their life.
The most impactful professor for me is definitely Dr. Hudson Richards. She's amazing. She's super knowledgeable on so many different topics, and I've been grateful to have her twice actually for 2 different classes, and it's just been amazing having her. She's really helpful and gives a lot of feedback, and I like how she cares about her students and actually asks you about like your life and what you're doing, along with giving you advice on your topic and what you're doing. So I really like her.
Hi, my name is Gabriela Rios, and the teacher at the Liberal Arts School that inspired me, impacted me the most, is Dr. Hune from the International Relations Center. It starts off with, she was the first semester freshman year, she was the first teacher I had interaction with, and it was a very basic class. It was global society, and I fell in love with the material, but most importantly, she really inspired me to see what international relations is all about. She taught me, was there for my first beginning steps of international relations. As a student who didn't want to talk a lot because I was just new at Duquesne, she helped me get out of my shell through this class seminar. Her way of teaching was speaking and just participating, and I really enjoyed that. And then when I studied abroad especially, she was also support of classes to pick and support of what I should do with my study abroad. And then when I came back, she's still supporting me, and she's always just been a very interesting teacher, and she also has shown me that there's different paths in the career I want, and the sky's the limit when it comes to my education and what I can do and my possibilities here at Duquesne. So shout out Dr. Hune.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm a senior here in the School of Liberal Arts studying IMC, and the professor that had the most impact on me, I would say, is Dr. Sarah DeJulius. She's really helped me look for internships and get me ready for life post-grad, and she really looks out for all of her students. So I really appreciate everything she's done for me.
So I think I have 2 professors that have been the biggest help since I've been at Duquesne. The first one being Bob Healy, Professor Healy. He has helped me understand the world of sports journalism and PR and really hammered home on the proper grammar and AP style that I need to use in the real world. And then my second professor is Dr. Sarah DeJulius. I'm an integrated marketing major too, and her ability to teach while being so personable and kind and funny is just fantastic for the major, and I feel like I've learned so much in her environment that's so just relaxed but also educational and very happy.
That's it for this week's edition of Duke News. Make sure to stay connected by subscribing here at DSTV to stay updated every week on what's going on around Duquesne's campus. I'm Jack Morgan, and thank you for tuning in to Duke News. We will see you next week.